Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm joined by Mark Burgess from Iceberg. And today we're going to talk about why he believes estate agency CRMs are not fit for purpose for the 2020s. Thanks for joining me today, Mark.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Why do you think CRMs are not fit for purpose? Talk to me.
The CRMs that estate agents use at the moment are storage systems.
Glorified spreadsheets.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, there's nothing technically wrong with them. It's not that they're broken or anything like that. The problem is the way that business works in certainly this decade, definitely the decade before, I would say as well, and possibly even the decade before that, doesn't align with the way that those systems work. So those systems were introduced into estate agency, some even in the 90s, definitely in the 2000s they were adopted heavily. And they were a way of moving away from having an applicant box and having filing cabinets.
Hot boxes. And
yeah.
Because the wonderful thing about those is that you could lift it up and read it and see all the little soft bits, and you couldn't lose them. Because I often find with CRMs is that they're almost like a big well that you chuck something in, but nothing ever comes out.
Yeah, so in principle, they were reasonably easy to shift over to because nothing in the business had to particularly change. It was just we were going to do it on a computer now instead of on a piece of paper. And then, even at the time, portals weren't the be-all and end-all. A lot of companies wouldn't leave their newspaper advertising. They were like, no, we can't risk doing that. And gradually, over time, that's changed, obviously. But what you've got now is you've got a situation whereby agents see the CRM at the heart of their company, and then they have all of these other things around the outside of it. They maybe do email marketing, maybe they do instant valuations, maybe they do some prospecting letters or leaflets, or whatever else they do is outside of that CRM. But the way that companies have to work in today's world is to have all of that information inside one system, and the system mines that data for them and just brings the most important stuff to the front.
So basically, the system with all the names and addresses is talking to all the other add-ons to make sure that there's connectivity, that they actually start working for each other.
Yeah, because when you, like an estate agent would say, oh, this system, like you say, has got all of our names and addresses in. But names and addresses of who? You're only using it to do a transaction. So if someone's not doing a transaction, what's the point of having prospecting data in your CRM?
But I mean, if they put a 3-bedroom semi on and they just, they list everyone that wants 3-bedroom semis, they press a button and hey presto, the brochures go out. Isn't that the job of the CRM, or do you think it needs to be more?
I think it needs to be more because that doesn't work very well in estate agency software. It's a bit of an afterthought, which is why people end up not registering with estate agents and they just do their searches on the portals, because the portals can give them a little bit more accuracy and they're not hounded and they're not sent loads of irrelevant stuff. If they are, they can refine their details whenever they want. Estate agency software in the very beginning didn't have matching and then eventually sort of added it in, but it's very clunky. It's still done the same way that it was designed 20 years ago.
Which is location, bedrooms, price.
I mean, it's not even location, because most of the softwares, their locations are not linked to something like a Google map. It's you make a location up and now you've got a tick box you could put at the end of the street if you wanted. So it becomes difficult because people generally aren't just looking in Grantham. They're looking for a specific estate or area, or close to a school, for instance. You can't really do that because your list would be ridiculous. So it's easy to go on a portal and do that, but it's not easy to register with an estate agent. If you rewind back before that to the hot boxes, I had to register with an estate agent. There wasn't a portal. So if I'm looking, I register with the estate agents, and the estate agents are important to sellers then, because if I'm selling, I need access to the estate agent's database.
So, I mean, I've gone on record to say that the things that have ruined estate agency in the UK are the portals and the CRMs, and there's interlinking between both of them, because by having the portals, there is no need, as you say, for people to register themselves, and agents they're not giving a reason to register, are they?
There isn't a reason to register. The estate agent.
And when you do register, I mean, my wife and I are looking to move house. We put ourselves on the mailing list of all the agents in Grantham a year ago. One agent rang me twice.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were sent stuff that you thought, why have you sent me that?
I know.
And that's, as I say, it goes back to, it's not that the portals are the death of estate agency, it's that the technology estate agents used hasn't kept up. And so they're a poor option when it comes to, I'm just looking for something to move to.
You need to almost give a reason for the vendors, which is your potential business, and landlords to register with you.
Absolutely. And estate agents have tried that. During lockdown, lots of people said, right, it's time to, put your stuff on your website before you put it on the portals. But they don't have the technology to really deliver the experience for the customer.
I mean, of course, if you don't mind me saying, you do run your own CRM system in Lifecycle 2, and I don't want this to be a promotional out-and-out video, but what does Lifecycle 2 do? What does it do? And and again, there's going to be other CRM firms watching this. What does it offer the agent that's going to be advantageous to the agent and the client?
So the way that we approached it with Lifecycle 2, because it looks at the whole ecosystem of a business, just when it comes to property matching, we see property matching as relatively rational. I know people might say, oh yeah, but someone, you can always think of a house that someone wants that you can't think a computer won't pick up. And yeah, that may be true, but the problem with CRMs at the moment is that an estate agent looks at their list of buyers, and as you say, it's just a big well of...
Yeah, it is.
I don't know, where do I go from here?
There's good, there's crap, there's awesome, there's even more crap.
Precisely. So we looked at it and we thought to ourselves, there's no real need for this to be taking up and become so complicated in an estate agent's life anymore. Because if I move from one estate agent to another estate agent, the way you register somebody is still the same. You don't suddenly start asking what their favourite football team is. It's the same questions. Have you got a mortgage? Okay. Have you got a house to sell?
Okay.
Why are you moving? So we said, well, why don't we just allow people to register themselves into the system? Because then we can get away from all of these awkward conversations over the phone about, have you got your mortgage sorted? I don't want to talk to you about that, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
So people register themselves into the system.
Okay, so that's the first thing. I mean, we've only got a couple of minutes left before we've got...
That's the first thing. The second thing is then what the system does is it uses an algorithm, artificial intelligence, if you want to call it that, to suggest properties to those people based around the same ideas as how Netflix suggests movies to you.
Right.
So the agent doesn't look stupid by saying, here's a property that's 10 grand over what you said. And that all of this is happening automatically.
Okay. So that's great for the buyer, but what's great for the estate agent about?
So for the estate agent, what's happening is that 24/7, 365, people are registering into their system fully qualified. So we're seeing already, it's only been live for a couple of months, we're seeing already that far more people register out of hours than register in hours, and they're fully qualified. So we already know who needs a mortgage, who's got a house to sell. So the agent's got all of his prospecting data as well, aside from the fact that he hasn't had to actually do any man hours to do it. Second to that, you can say, we launch our properties to our database before the portals because it happens automatically. It doesn't rely on a person to do it. So you're not going to let anyone down. As soon as you put a property in, it's going to go, these are the people I should tell about it. And as soon as someone registers, it's going to say, these are the properties you might like. So from the estate agent's point of view, they can see, can I sell and let properties before I hit the portals or not? From the owner's point of view, the seller's point of view, the benefit is that the agent can say, look, we advertise properties to our database before they hit the portals, and we advertise this heads-up property alerts that we've got. Okay. And the only people that register to find out about properties before they hit the portals are people that are seriously looking. Because if you're just browsing, you don't really care. But if you're seriously looking, then you want to find out about properties before they hit the portals. Therefore, we have the most vital database sitting inside our own hands and no one else has access to it.
I'd like to delve a little bit more deeper in that in another video, if that's okay. So we'll leave it at that on this one. Thank you.